So imagine a billion-dollar technology company,
Right.
right? And their entire brand, I mean, really, their whole business model relies on selling police departments unlimited access to this massive surveillance network.
Right. Just a
Right.
completely open tap.
Exactly. Now, imagine that same company suddenly just, turning around and locking those exact same police departments out of their own system.
Which is pretty much unheard of in that space.
It is. But that is exactly the situation we are unpacking today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are
Yeah.
thrilled you're here with us because our core mission for this conversation is to really sort through all the daily noise. We want to help you understand this massive fundamental shift happening right now.
Yeah, right at the intersection of technology, privacy, and public safety.
Exactly.
And honestly, the scope of this shift, I mean, it really cannot be overstated. We are looking at a critical turning point in this modern tug of war between two very powerful competing
The
interests.
push and pull, yeah.
Right. You have the drive to fight crime efficiently on one hand, and then the absolute imperative to protect individual privacy on the other.
And today's deep dives is built entirely around one highly relevant source.
Okay.
We're looking at the August 14th, 2026 AI News Daily Digest.
Which has some really incredible reporting in it.
It really does. It highlights a breaking piece of investigative journalism from Technology Review. And they are focusing heavily on a police tech giant called Flock.
Yeah, and if you follow this space at all, you know Flock.
Oh, absolutely. They built this sprawling, just incredibly effective nationwide network of automated license plate readers.
And we aren't just talking about, a few cameras at toll booths here.
No, we are talking about cheap, solar-powered, AI-driven cameras on almost every major intersection. In thousands of municipalities, they are capturing billions of data points every single month.
It's a staggering amount of data.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. How does a company that built its empire on providing law enforcement with this unblinking, easily searchable network of data suddenly decide to heavily restrict access to its own tech?
Well, shifts of this magnitude in the tech industry, they are almost always reactive. I mean, a company with that level of market dominance, they don't just wake up and throw a wrench into their own machinery.
Right, not just for the sake of an engineering challenge.
Exactly. The Technology Review reporting clearly outlines that over recent months, Flock has been facing this really intense, rapidly growing public backlash.
People are getting nervous.
Very nervous. It's all about the sheer scale of their surveillance infrastructure.
Yeah, the scrutiny over potential privacy infringements has been super intense. But I think let's be specific about what people are actually afraid of here.
Yeah.
Because it's not just some vague fear of Big Brother, right?
No, it's very concrete.
There is a very real, palpable threat of police misuse. People are terrified of the abuse of collected data. They look at this tech and they see the architecture for unchecked mass surveillance.
Which is a valid concern, honestly.
Oh, totally. I mean, we've all read the horror stories from the past decade.
Yeah.
An officer using a database to track an ex-spouse or, a journalist or a political rival.
Right, the human element of abuse.
Yeah. When a system tracks every vehicle's movement and just stores it indefinitely, the potential for that abuse is just astronomical.
And the AI component that's highlighted in the digest, it makes that potential for abuse even more acute because these aren't just cameras taking static photos anymore.
They're a lot smarter than that.
Way smarter. The machine learning algorithms categorize vehicles by make, model, color, roof racks, even bumper stickers.
Wow, bumper stickers too?
Yeah. You don't even need a full license plate to query the system anymore. You can literally search for, like, a red sedan with a dented bumper in a specific zip code between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m.
That is wild.
The searchability is unparalleled. And that makes the lack of access controls a glaring vulnerability.
But here is the kicker, and this is what really stands out in the source material to me. This public backlash, it hasn't just been PR noise.
Right, it's not just talk.
No. This isn't just civil liberties groups writing op-eds or, people complaining on social media. Flock has actively lost partnerships.
Yeah, that's the real pain point.
Municipalities have been tearing up actual contracts.
And that is the linchpin of this entire story. It is one thing to face criticism from privacy advocates, but it is a completely different reality when the municipalities and the police departments, your actual paying clients, start walking away from the table.
Hitting them right in the wallet.
Exactly. The political and social heat at local city council meetings has just become too high. Mayors and city managers, they simply can't justify the contract renewals anymore.
It really comes down to how human beings interact with powerful tools, I think. It's kind of like building the world's most powerful telescope, leaving it right in the town square without a lock, and telling everyone, hey, this is only for looking at the stars.
Yeah, right.
Eventually, someone is going to point it at their neighbor's window. It is just human nature to test the boundaries of a tool, especially when there is, like, zero friction preventing it.
That's a great way to look at it.
But, reading through the company's statements in the report, I really have to push back on their narrative a bit. When we see a pivot like this, we have to ask, is this sudden change of heart actually about a newfound ethical responsibility?
You're wondering if it's genuine?
Yeah. Did the executives have a moral awakening? Or is this strictly 100% about stopping the financial bleeding from those canceled municipal contracts?
What's fascinating here is that the modern tech landscape frequently forces ethics and economics to align, whether the companies want them to or not.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah. The tech industry operated for a long time on that old Silicon Valley mantra, right? Move fast and break
Yeah,
things.
to apply that everywhere.
But Flock discovered the hard way that in the realm of public safety and municipal tech, privacy is not a luxury feature. It is a strict procurement requirement.
You literally can't sell the product without it.
Exactly. If you do not build privacy and auditability into the core architecture of your software, you lose the contract. Regaining and maintaining public trust is now a baseline operational requirement to survive in the B2B law enforcement space.
Because if the public doesn't trust the technology, the local governments just won't buy it.
Exact.
The completely frictionless environment they used to operate in, it's just gone. They hit the friction of public opinion, and it cost them real capital.
And that friction forced their hand. It fundamentally altered their product roadmap. The operational reality of what they are actually doing to fix this, well, that's where the engineering meets the policy.
So what does this all mean practically? Because locking down that data sounds great on paper, but mechanically, I'm really struggling to understand how they actually enforce that when, say, an officer is sitting in a cruiser at 2 a.m.
Right, how do you stop a person who already has the login?
Yeah, how does software actually stop a determined user? The Technology Review report details how Flock is redefining its operational protocols by attacking the two most critical vulnerabilities in any database, the who and the circumstances.
Which is a massive shift.
I'm assuming that means stripping away blanket access, but what is the actual mechanism there?
This raises an important question about architecture. They are transitioning the entire software from a default open system to a circumstance-specific system.
Okay, break that down for me.
In the older default open models, the tool was passive but omnivorous. It ingested billions of plate reads and offered them to literally anyone with a departmental login.
So anyone could just log in and browse?
Right. An officer could simply type in a partial plate number, hit enter, and see a map of everywhere that vehicle had been over the last 30 days, and they could do it without ever explaining to the system why they were looking. Wow. But the new protocols dictate a hard stop on that kind of behavior. The barrier to entry is entirely different now.
Okay, so it makes me think of the difference between like a public library and a sealed archival vault.
Okay, yeah.
In the old system, it was a public library. You walk in, you browse the stacks, pull whatever book catches your eye, read it. And nobody asks why you're reading it or what you plan to do with the info.
Totally open.
But this new system they're building, it's like a sealed archive. You have to walk up to a thick glass window, slip your specific credentials under the slot, and hand the archivist a highly specific request proving exactly why you need that one specific document.
That is a perfect analogy. And that archivist in your scenario is an automated, hard-coded audit layer.
Ah.
To execute a query now, the system's API requires concrete justification before unlocking the data. The officer actually must input an active computer-aided dispatch, or CAD, number.
Wait, so they have to have a real case number?
Yes. The database then verifies that a reported incident actually exists in the municipal dispatch system before it grants access to the historical location data of that specific vehicle.
So if I am a beat cop, I can't just run my ex-spouse's license plate because I'm curious.
Not anymore.
The system physically prevents the query from executing unless I have a legitimate active case number tied to a reported crime.
Exactly. Furthermore, depending on the severity of the query, it might even require a supervisor's digital sign-off.
Oh.
Yeah, say an officer in one jurisdiction wants to query the cameras in a neighboring jurisdiction. The system can enforce a dual authentication protocol. A commanding officer actually has to approve the request in real time.
That's a huge hurdle.
It is, and it creates an immutable audit trail. The municipality, not just the police department, can see exactly who searched for what, when they searched for it, and the case number they used to justify the search.
That is a massive structural change. I mean, it really attempts to transform the technology from a mass surveillance dragnet into a controlled, targeted investigative instrument.
Which is exactly what the public was demanding.
The data is still being collected by those cameras at the intersection, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the inherent threat of a phishing expedition is neutralized by the software's own access requirements.
Yeah.
You just cannot go fishing if the system won't let you cast a line without a permit.
Right. And the operational protocol isn't just about who gets in, it's also about what remains inside the vault.
Oh, right, the data retention.
Yeah, by tightening the circumstances of access, these companies are really forced to reckon with their data retention policies. A circumstance-specific system pairs with aggressive data purging.
So they don't keep it forever anymore.
Not at all. If a license plate is captured by a camera, but it is not flagged in connection with an active, verified case number within a strict window, which is often just 30 days, it is automatically deleted from the servers.
It just disappears.
The system essentially brains the unrequested files. The data simply ceases to exist. And that completely eliminates the possibility of retroactive, years-long surveillance on innocent citizens.
This inherent tension between security and privacy, it is just fascinating when you look at what this means for the average person driving down the street.
It impacts everyone.
Because on one hand, if my car is stolen or, God forbid, a child is abducted, I want law enforcement to have every single technological advantage available to catch that criminal immediately.
Of course you do.
I want those automated license plate readers on high alert, scanning every highway overpass.
And the public safety mandate there is incredibly compelling. The technology is undeniably effective at solving violent crimes, recovering stolen property, tracking down Amber Alerts.
It's fast.
Super fast. The speed at which an AI-driven network can locate a suspect vehicle, it's vastly superior to putting a description out over the police radio and just hoping a patrol car spots it.
But then on the other hand, I absolutely do not want every single trip I take to the grocery store, to my doctor's office, or to a political rally to be logged, stored, and easily accessible.
Nobody wants that.
I do not want a permanent, searchable record of my physical movements sitting in a centralized database waiting for someone to misuse it.
Yeah.
So by restricting the who and the circumstances, Flock is really trying to thread a very difficult needle here.
They are.
They're trying to keep the crime-solving capabilities intact while dismantling the mass surveillance capabilities.
And threading that needle creates an immediate ripple effect across the entire industry.
Which is huge.
Yeah. Flock's pivot, as highlighted by the AI News Daily Digest, it's a direct testament to a much larger paradigm shift. This is not happening in a vacuum. Flock is simply the largest domino to fall.
Here is where it gets really interesting from a business strategy perspective. So Flock is the biggest player in the room, right? And they are laying down these new, strictly enforced protocols.
Right.
Are these new rules going to become the industry's gold standard? Like, will every other competitor in the police tech space be forced to match Flock's privacy measures just to stay viable during city council procurement meetings?
That's the ideal scenario for privacy advocates.
Or, and I guess this is the cynical take, will rival companies look at Flock's frustrated law enforcement clients, the departments that actually like the default open system, and try to steal them away?
By marketing themselves as the alternative.
Exactly. Marketing themselves as the fewer restrictions alternative. They could pitch themselves as the Wild West option for police departments that just don't want to deal with audit logs and CAD numbers.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are looking at a classic market divergence. We will almost certainly see both strategies play out simultaneously.
Really? You think so?
Definitely. Certain companies will absolutely try to out-privacy Flock. They will market themselves to progressive municipalities as the ultimate ethical, risk-free choice. They'll promise even shorter data retention windows and even stricter access controls.
Competing on who can be the most secure.
Right. But simultaneously, smaller, more aggressive upstarts, they will quietly approach police departments in jurisdictions with less public oversight. And they'll offer a platform without those heavy audit layers.
Oh, wow.
They will sell convenience over compliance.
But wait, that creates a massive interoperability problem, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when a privacy-conscious city buys the strict Flock system, but the town right next door buys the Wild West competitor?
That is the big problem.
Because the whole point of these networks is that they share data across borders to track suspects fleeing a scene. If the underlying architectures have completely different ethical standards coded into them, how do they even talk to each other?
The data sharing agreements become a complete logistical nightmare. If a strict system refuses to share data with a Wild West system because the requesting officer cannot provide a verified CAD number, the investigative network breaks down.
It fractures the whole system.
Exactly. And this forces an incredibly complex conversation that a lot of municipalities have been actively avoiding for years.
It really removes the technological inevitability excuse, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
For a decade, local politicians could just throw their hands up when citizens complained about surveillance and say, look, this is just how the technology works. The cameras collect everything and the police need access to all of it. We have to accept the surveillance if we want the security.
But now the burden of responsibility shifts squarely back onto the buyers. When a citizen points to Flock's new operational protocols, they can legitimately ask their mayor or their city council, hey, if the largest vendor in this space has proven that it is technologically possible to restrict access, require case numbers, and automatically purge data to protect our privacy, why aren't you demanding those exact same features from all of our vendors?
It forces their hand. Local governments are suddenly forced to make active, deliberate choices. They had to explicitly declare their stance on civil liberties in a public forum and actually put their money where their mouth is during the procurement process.
They can't hide behind the tech anymore.
Right. The technology pushed the boundaries outward, but now the civic boundaries are pushing back.
The friction is working. The market responded directly to the public's refusal to accept mass surveillance as a default condition of modern life.
As we wrap up today's exploration of this massive shift in the police tech landscape, the main takeaway we really want you to hold on to is this. Technology will always continue to push forward.
Unquestionably.
It will always become faster, smarter, more AI-driven, and more pervasive. The cameras will get smaller, and the algorithms will get better at identifying us. But you, and by extension, the local governments that represent your tax dollars, you still have the power to demand ethical responsibilities and strict operational boundaries.
The algorithms do not dictate the policy, the buyers do.
Exactly. Staying informed about who holds your data and mechanically how they are allowed to use it, it isn't just about being a tech enthusiast. It is the ultimate shortcut to being an empowered citizen.
That's exactly right.
You have a voice in where those digital deadbolts are placed and what kind of key is required to open them.
And we are watching a significant evolution in civil liberties unfold in real time here. But consider the underlying mechanics of how this change actually occurred.
What do you mean?
Well, if a private for-profit tech company is now the entity writing the strict rules for how public law enforcement can access surveillance data, it leaves us with something profound to reflect on. Are we comfortable with corporate operational protocols becoming the new boundaries of our civil liberties?
Oh, wow. That completely flips the concept of the locked door, doesn't it?
It really does.
Who really owns the lock? The public, the police, or the corporation that sold us the door in the first place?
Something to think about.
That is definitely something to chew on. We want to thank you for joining us today, for bringing your curiosity, and for exploring the hidden architecture of digital security with us. Keep questioning the world around you, keep looking for those invisible boundaries, and we will see you on the next Deep Dive.